You are welcome. This is a channel dedicated to end times. It is Messiah Revelation Ministry. The ministry is based upon revelation coming from the Most High. And today we are talking about supernatural awakening. How God supernaturally awakens his people, gives them instructions, and gives them signs and wonders, direct them, and to give them a roadmap into the future. And this he does through encounters, through dreams, through visions. And today does the Lord communicate with his people. And we are looking at how the Lord has communicated to his people, the Hebrews, throughout history. And we cannot do that until we go into the Bible and see how the Lord communicated with our ancestor Abraham. And so we go to the book of Genesis chapter 15, Genesis 15, verse 12. And so we read, and we are looking at how God communicated with Abraham. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, an aura of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of surety that thou shalt be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And so, what do you get from this? What you get from this is that the Lord communicates with his people, and a major event was going to happen in the future, and that is the 400 years captivity of the Hebrews. And the Lord was awakening Abraham about what will happen to his people. And the Lord chose a deep sleep. Darkness fell upon Abraham. And the Lord spoke to him. And so you call it a vision. You call it divine communication. And Abraham was told what was going to happen to his people, the 400 years of captivity. 400 years. The Lord also told Moses what will happen to the Hebrew Israelites, and that is recorded in Deuteronomy. And if you are reading it, you can read Deuteronomy 28, particularly 68, where the Lord told Moses that his people will be shipped into Egypt again, and they will be sold as slaves. What are we doing? We are talking about divine communication, principally through visions. The Lord did not cease. The Lord continued to speak to his people, even when they were in captivity. And we are looking at God and the black man. God and the black man. Ben Ammi wrote a book about it. Ben Ammi Ben Carter, the Israelite who led Hebrews, African American Israelites, who they were led to Israel in the 1960s in the heat of the civil rights movement. He wrote a book, God and the Black Man. And I'm using the title to make a point. And the point I'm making is that the Lord speaks to the black man. The Lord speaks to the black woman. The Lord speaks to the Hebrew Israelites. And the question you ask yourself is that if the black man was cursed, as European theologians will tell you, how come God will speak to the Negro? And here we are looking at the instances, the occasions when the Lord has spoken to the Negro, actually the Hebrew Israelites. And I'm going to discuss several instances, and I will focus first on Nat Turner. He lived 1800 to 1831. And for those who are not aware of Nat Turner, he led a rebellion in American slave liberating, and he was executed because of the liberating. And he says that he was divinely instructed to do what he did. And so the first thing is that he saw impending conflict between blacks and whites. And 3 years later, he says that he was given a message to engage in assault against Satan forces and the enslavers and the white slave masters in America. And these are messages that he claimed that he received from Elohim. So Elohim communicated with him. And how did Elohim communicate with him? Through the heavenly bodies. And if you go to Genesis 1 verse 14, it's clear that the Lord created the heavenly bodies, the sun, the moon, and the stars, to operate as signs. The Lord will use the heavenly bodies to communicate with his people. So now, Turner, February 12, 1831, he claimed to have seen a solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse was very unusual. Okay, look back in history and see 1831. Technology was not advanced, and probably you are in a field somewhere, you are on a plantation somewhere deep, whether you are in Mississippi or Alabama, you are in a plantation somewhere, whether you are um, in West Indies or Haiti somewhere, you are in a plantation somewhere, and then immediately you see unusual appearance of the sun, and nobody is there. Probably you are there alone, or few people are there. It's possible that many people will be around you, but they will not see what you see. And that is the reality of divine communication. You remember the case of Daniel. He was at a place where he saw visions. The Lord visited him, and he was talking to the Lord. But the people around him did not see the Lord talking to Daniel. But there was an earthquake. They saw the earthquake. The Lord was not speaking to the people who were with Daniel. He was speaking directly to Daniel. So it's possible that Nat Turner saw a solar eclipse, unusual appearance of the sun, and then he was in tune with the Lord. Something entered him that was a supernatural awakening. It's like plugging a battery to electricity, or connecting your phone to the socket. There's electrical connection, divine connection. Elohim was speaking to his servant, Nat Turner. So there was a solar eclipse, February 12, 1831, or something spectacular appeared in the sun. And then later on, August 31st, 1831, and I believe that was the time when he engaged with the rebellion. And he saw a strange appearance of the sun. And so you see, the Lord was using the heavenly bodies to communicate with the Negro, to communicate with the Hebrew Israelites, to communicate with the son of Jacob, scattered to all the four corners of the earth. Now, Turner's ancestors were taken from their homeland in fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28, and they found themselves in America. And now Turner is saying that he had a communication from Elohim, and that he had to lead an assault on Satan forces and on white slave masters. What he did was very dangerous, but who are you to disobey the commandment from Elohim? He led a slave rebellion, and you are aware of it, and he was executed. And as a result of his execution, Virginia, they changed their method. They said it is because of intelligence. The Negro became very intelligent. He knew the secrets of the slave master. That's why Nat Turner was able to lead such a rebellion against the slave master. So from that time, the white slave masters decided that they would not allow the Negro, or they would not teach the Negro how to read or how to write, or they would not allow the Negro to be knowledgeable. So they will keep him dummy. The same way that they kept the Africans dummy. And let me shift a little bit to Congo, ruled by Belgium. Belgium decided to keep the Congolese dummy, stupid, ignorant, docile, miseducated, uneducated, undereducated, so that they will be able to rule over them. And if you read the book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, written by Walter Rodney from Guyana, at the time of independence in Congo, only 12 people, or less than 12 people, had a bachelor's degree in the whole country. If you go to a city in America, you can count how many people have bachelor's degree. A small town, there are hundreds of them. We are talking about the whole country of Congo at the time of independence from colonial rule. Only 12 people in the whole country. If you are talking about 10 million people, only 12 out of 10 million people had a bachelor's degree, basic degree. And so this is Nat Turner. The lessons we learn from Nat Turner is that the Lord communicated with him. He heard messages, and he saw unusual appearance of the sun, unusual disturbances in the sun. And I put myself in the shoe of Nat Turner, because beginning in 2006 and 2007, the Lord communicated with me through the unusual appearances of the moon, the sun, and the stars. If God has not communicated with you that way, then you cannot understand Nat Turner. And you will probably say he was crazy or he was lying. But the Lord spoke to Nat Turner the same way that the Lord spoke to Abraham and the Lord spoke to Moses. And the Lord was speaking to Abraham, Moses, with regard to the Hebrew Israelites who will be reclassified as Negroes, put on ships and sent to all the four corners of the earth. How does the Lord speak to the Negro? How does the Lord speak to the Hebrew Israelite? And the next instance is the case of Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was an abolitionist, a civil rights leader, if you will call, if you agree, a warrior, and the servant of the Most High, a negress who was in captivity in America. You know the story. Those who are Americans, or those who are knowledgeable about African American history, those who are knowledgeable about the life and the condition of the Hebrew Israelite who was fulfilling prophecy when their ancestors were shipped into Egypt again based upon Deuteronomy 28:68. Harriet Tubman, if you read her biography, if you read her history, there was a time in her life where she had singing. Uh, she heard or saw fire burning, and she had a vision where she was flying over the fields, plantation fields, and she was flying like a free woman. Harriet Tubman was enslaved, and she was subjected to affliction. And if you know her story, something hit her. A slave master hit her with a metal, and he saw a lot of visions. And as I said, some of the vision that she saw was seeing herself flying over plantation fields as a free woman, and she led a slave rebellion. She was an abolitionist, and the Lord chose a woman to free the Hebrew Israelites who were in captivity. There comes a time when the Lord will use a woman when men are running away. And so the case of Harriet Tubman is similar to the case of Deborah in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And the Lord used Deborah to command the army of Israel to save the Israelites at the time when the men were not men. As we talk about Harriet Tubman, we link her bravery and bravado to the case of Ya Asantewaa, who was a queen mother in Ghana from the Ashanti tribe. And in 1900, the British forces waged war against the Ashantis. And as you are aware, the Ashantis are one of the tribes in Africa who trace their ancestry to Israel. And definitely a lot of people who were taken as slaves in Africa come from the Asante tribe, particularly people in Jamaica and also people in the United States. And you can conclude that they are from the tribe of Judah. Yasantua saw a situation where colonial Gentile forces from Britain. They captured the city. They waged war on the Ashantis in the year 1900. The men were running away. It was Yasantua who led the fight, led the fight against the British, and she was exiled. She was sent into exile in Seychelles Island, an island controlled by Britain, and sending Yasantua into exile, sending a woman into exile because she resisted British imperialism to an island. It fulfills prophecy in Isaiah 11:11, because the prophet said that the Messiah will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah from the islands of the sea. And the royal Judah kings in Asante, they were exiled by the British forces. And not only was Yasantua exiled from Ghana, from the Ashantis to Seychelles Island, the king of Ashanti, by name Nana Prempe the First, he was also taken into exile. And he was taken into Seychelles Island, and he was there for 24 years before he was allowed to return to Ghana. But Yasantua, the woman who fought the British, she was sent into exile in Seychelles Island, and she never returned, and she died in Seychelles Island. And a lot of Ashantis were sent into exile in Seychelles Island, and they are presently living there. They are descendants of Ashanti. So you begin to understand how Hebrew Israelites were scattered all over the world. So we are on Harriet Tubman. She saw visions, visions of people singing, visions of fire burning, and he saw herself flying over fields as a free woman. These are supernatural activities, and if you don't understand how the Lord communicates, then you will not understand how Elohim communicated with a woman, a negress, Harriet Tubman, who was an abolitionist, who did what men could not do, being the first woman in the history of America, the land of the brave, to lead a military operation. And her record is immortalized in the annals of history. She was a negress, but the negritude was not in her, because she was electrified by divine connection, and Elohim was speaking to her, directing her about what to do to let my people go. So the next person we'll talk about is William S. Crowdy, a former slave who became a prophet, founded a church, and he is the progenitor, or one of the pioneers of the Hebrew Israelite movement. And if you read his record, there was a time that Elohim communicated to him in visions, and he felt he was crazy. And of course, you will feel you are crazy when the Lord is speaking to you, and you feel you are crazy, like Ezekiel, when the Lord holds your hair and then uplift you over the air. You have a golden touch, a divine touch of your body, and you are lifted in the atmosphere by supernatural authority from the one who sits on the throne in heaven. You think you are crazy. William Escrady thought that he was crazy when the Lord was speaking to him in visions, and he downloaded information in his brains that he and his people were Hebrew Israelites who were kidnapped and sent on slave ships into captivity in fulfillment on the prophecy on the Hebrew Israelites who are the chosen of God. And now there's emancipation of slaves, and the Lord did not stop speaking to his people, the Negroes. And so now we come to Ben Carter, who changed his name to Ben Ammi Ben Israel. And if you read his book, God, the Black Man and the Truth, he will tell you how the Lord communicated with him. And that was on a different level. And Ben Ammi, who led Hebrew Israelites from America to Israel in 1967, says that an angel, no greater than or smaller than Gabriel. The angel Gabriel himself appeared to him and commanded him to lead Hebrews from America, the land of bondage. And he responded. He took hundreds of Hebrew Israelites from America. They first went to Liberia, and then after several years, they moved to Israel, Dimona, and they are still living in Dimona. In 2023, I had an opportunity to interview one of the original people who went with Ben Ammi to Dimona, Israel. How did the Lord speak to Ben Carter, a Negro? Ben Carter, or Ben Ammi, is saying that Elohim, who found the Negro to be worthy, sent his principal angel, Angel Gabriel, to come and talk to him, to give him encouragement, to awaken him that he was a Hebrew kidnapped and hidden in the land of captivity, in the land of bondage. Exodus 20 verse 2 says Egypt is a land of bondage. And so Ben Carter was in the New Egypt based upon Deuteronomy 28:68. How did Elohim speak to a Negro? The Lord spoke to a Negro through Angel Gabriel. Is the Negro cursed? If someone is cursed, how come a holy angel Gabriel will speak to him? You can answer the question yourself. The Lord speaking to Negroes, if you call them Negroes, it's not limited to inside America. And so now we are going to Africa, we are going to Ghana. And I'm telling you, a man by name Aaron Ahomtre TOAKYIRAFA. Now, even though I am an African, sometimes I find difficulty in pronouncing the name. His name is Aaron Ahomtre TOAKYIRAFA, a Ghanaian. He's from a place in Ghana called Seshi. And in the 1990s, he claimed that an angel appeared to him. He had visions, and he was reminded that he was a Hebrew Israelite. A divine secret was given to him that he's a remnant of a Hebrew Israelite in Ghana. He saw visions similar to what Nat Turner saw, similar to what Ben Carter, Ben Ammi, Ben Israel saw in America, similar to the experiences of Harriet Tubman, similar to the divine encounters that William Sanders had in the United States. He saw angelic appearance and unusual heavenly occurrences, disturbances, and appearances, and he was reminded that he was a Hebrew Israelite, and he wondered, that's why my ancestors were practicing customs similar to the one in Israel. He thought that he was the only Hebrew Israelite left. He walked from Ghana to Ivory Coast, and he later had contact with the Israeli embassy, and later on, American Jews heard about his experiences, and so they came to Ghana. And what they did was they changed the name of the synagogue that he built in Ghana. And I'm not going into details about it, but what I'm telling you is that Aaron Ahontre TOAKYIRAFA saw visions where the Lord communicated to him and awakened him that he is a Hebrew and his people are Hebrews. And so when we say you are a Hebrew, there's no racial monopoly. It is not a white man only who can be a Hebrew. It is not a white man who will receive visions. The Lord spoke and communicated with Abraham, to Moses, born in ancient black Egypt, a black man, Moses. The Lord spoke to Zephaniah, the prophet, an Ethiopian, the son of Cushi. Cushi means Ethiopia. The Lord spoke to the prophet Zephaniah in a vision. And Zephaniah gave the oracle of salvation, the salvation that is coming for Negroes beyond, not beyond the Mississippi River, not beyond the Amazon River, is beyond Ethiopia, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. And the Lord was speaking to a black prophet, Zephaniah, in a vision. And as we are talking about how the Lord speaks to Negroes in visions, I will end by discussing my own visions and three-part visions in October 2007. And I was going through persecution in the United States. And I will not go over that persecution. I will leave it for another time. But I had a 21-day fast in October 2007. And as I go through my records, something spectacular happened. October 28th, I had a vision that the Ashantis are Hebrews. October 30th, 2 days later, I had a vision where I saw the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah is the prophet of captivity. And the next day, October 31st, 2007, I saw a vision about the gathering of the Hebrews in America. The Hebrews in America are going to be gathered based upon a vision that I saw. The next day, I saw a vision about prophet Jeremiah. And so, in that vision, I heard a voice: the African Americans will help you. It's a divine communication confirming that the African Americans, the one that the Americans rename Negroes, they are actually Hebrews. And how did I get to know that? It was through divine communication, through a vision that I have recorded. I cannot forget that. And so in 3 days, October 28, 2007, the Lord revealed that the Ashantis are Hebrews. And for those who know history, the African Americans and people in the West Indies, in the Caribbean, a lot of them are descendants of Ashantis who are Hebrews. And scholars like Stephen Jacob and Joseph Williams, they have recorded that. But I'm talking about communication that I got through visions. So the conclusion is that God is with the Negro. God is with the black man. God is with the Hebrew Israelite. And he uses supernatural awakening to let them know the plans he has for them. And so now we have talked about supernatural awakening, going into black history in America, delving into the archive to see how Elohim spoke to Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, William Crowdy, Ben Carter, Ben Ammi, Ben Israel, and in Ghana, how the Lord spoke to a Hebrew Israelite, Aaron Ahomtre TOAKYIRAFA, who is a Hebrew, and he's from a tribe, we call them the Seshi people. And what I'm telling you is known because even in Israel, they are aware that there's a group in Ghana, Seshi people, who are originally Hebrews. They are aware of it. If they don't like it, they are aware of it. And I'm giving my personal testimony about how Elohim spoke to me in a vision. And the same way he spoke to Daniel when Daniel was doing a 21-day fast. I was doing a 21-day fast. And the fast was not to know about Hebrew Israelites. I was fasting because I was under professional persecution in Babylon, United States. And it was on that occasion that the Lord used visions to confirm that the African Americans are Hebrews scattered into Babylon, America, and a time will come when they will be gathered. And that is my testimony of redemption for the Hebrew Israelites who may not have hope, who may not even believe that he is a Hebrew Israelite. The regathering is coming consistent with the prophecy in Isaiah 11 verse 11. Thank you for watching this video. Hit on the notification button. My email is raptureafrica@yahoo.com. One word, small letters. Thank you. Supernatural awakening will come. It is consistent with what Elohim has said in Joel 2:28. Children and adults, they will have visions and dreams and visions that was given to Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, William Crowdy, Ben Ammi, and myself, operating Messiah Revelation Ministry, preparing you for the arrival of the Messiah. Thank you.